Hey guys, Sean Bougie here. A little bit early. We'll see how many people we got coming in. Please keep in mind, actually, you know what? I'm going to wait a couple seconds here. Hey guys, if somebody can let me know you can hear and see me okay, that would be great. Going to enable chat. Please do not use the question and answer tab. Use the comments tab instead. It's private, but I will mention your name. You'll know that it's really a live webinar. So let me close this so I'm not distracted. Jeff says all good. So I'm going to go ahead and for just 1 second, thank you, Rosalani. I'm going to go ahead and disable chat for just a second. Please don't use the Q&A. Here we go. Couple just real quick announcements, guys. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. Couple of really quick announcements. One, again, please don't use the Q&A button. Use the chat section instead, the comments or chat section. I will mention your name when I'm answering that, so you'll know that you actually got your question answered. We had some issues before. Other than that, really not a whole lot to cover before we open this up to question and answer. ROP, rightfulownerproject.org, will be back up and running probably by the end of this month. I apologize that went down. We had some issues with that with the servers, and it's going through a complete redesign right now. So that should not be an issue. And also, guys, real quick, there is a file. You may have to close your chat to see it, probably not. There's a downloadable file that you can pick up. It's going to go over a lot of information that would help you, especially guys pre-purchase. Goes over all the different programs and also has direct links into the website. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open chat back up. And guys, you are welcome. Please don't use the question and answer. Use the chat instead. And any question is okay. Any question at all. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, one of the questions I got recently while I'm waiting here too was exactly, this is if you guys are pre-purchased. If you've already purchased, then fire away. Give me the toughest stuff you got. Yeah, thank you, Kevin, Kevin says loud and clear. One of the questions I got is what exactly do you get with the program? Besides the step-by-step ebook, which we recommend you read at least twice. That also has a link with a password that goes to a resources page that is video training, the independent contractor agreement that protects us both. And by the way, there is no non-compete in that. Also, access to our both support system is through the support tab, but also access to our active files list so you don't duplicate anybody else's efforts. Ooh, that's a great question, Bill. So John, real quick, hi, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you, John. Mel, good evening. Thank you, Mel. Bill, I heard this question today. Great question. I have the Florida surplus and flip programs. I'm wondering if the recent hurricane damage in Florida is impacting the pursuit of flipping and surplus deals. This is fantastic. Great question. So is it currently business as usual in Florida, or are you pausing it until things return to normal? Should I continue working Florida or choose another state to work for the time being? So guys, just kind of give and take. And I actually didn't have an opportunity to talk to Jeff about this. First of all, I don't think it's going to impact the surplus business. Yes, there's a couple of counties where the investors may shy away just a little bit because they're concerned about that particular property. We're still going to see overages because everything's still gone up, even with the recent market correction, 10-15% in worst case, most areas. Even with that market correction, that's not erasing the gains we had in 2019 and 2020. So I don't see it being an issue at all with surplus. A lot of other states in the past have paused tax sales when there were natural disasters, or for instance, in 2007, 2008, a lot of states stopped that. Florida is one of the states that did not. And I seriously doubt they're going to reverse the way they handled that for this instance. As far as flips, I will still take them in those areas. I would say I take a good look at what got impacted. For instance, you look at the Port Charlotte area, and that area is something that got really hit hard. It'll probably take me a little longer to sell stuff, but no, I have not made a decision to pause that. Ursula, hello for Tennessee. That's great. Ursula, something interesting. If you've already started up with us, there's something really interesting, guys, in tax sale overage list from Tennessee, and it depends on the county. But some counties require that you have a Tennessee driver's license in order to request that list. Not all of them. It's a state statute, but not all the counties follow that. But that's nice because if you are in Tennessee, I always tell people don't work just your local area. I understand that. But if you have a Tennessee driver's license or know someone who does, you can get lists other people cannot. That's kind of nice to know. Michael, I have Florida programs I'm getting prepared to utilize. Was in the middle of typing this question. Thanks. You got it, Mike. Kevin, would you recommend to focus on overages these days more than deed flips? Yes. Guys, if you haven't already, and hi, Angela from Montana. If you guys have not already seen the video I put on YouTube, first of all, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do it. Go to YouTube. It's the same as our website, Surplus Funds Riches, all one word. That is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that because I covered that about a month or two ago. And my deal is this. So, and it's interesting because I just got off the phone today with a hedge fund manager who agreed with me 100%. And that is right now, the flips aren't hot because, first of all, the sellers haven't gotten the memo. They don't understand yet what's going on. They don't understand the correction is hit or they're not believing it. And they're still thinking they're going to get a crazy amount of money for their property. So it's harder to make deals on deed flips because they haven't seen that correction. That's going to change in February or March. And the reason that's going to change is they're finally going to get the memo. But what also is happening next year is a lot of the tax assessors or tax collectors in each county are going to be reappraising this year, next year, the following year. So 2023, 2024 are going to be really strong deed flip years. If you've got both programs right now, I'd be working surplus, right? But then I do think beginning of the year, we're going to see more of where they're going to be on par with one another as far as conversion and the amount of money you can make from each one. So I do think the flips are going to gain a lot more popularity starting at the beginning of the year and running through probably 2024 at least. Again, part of that is we're seeing a lot. Remember, we go after a lot of tax sale, pre-tax sale property. And we're going to see a lot of reappraisals where people inherited the property, they've never lived in it. They're letting a family member live in it for free. They're just writing it out. And now all of a sudden they're going to get a tax bill where the value of the property, even with the market correction, where the value of the property is double what it was 2 years ago. And they're just going to throw their hands up. They're going to be happy to unload that. In addition, it's really funky, guys, because right now we have a lot of upward pressure on price, even though affordability isn't there for finished homes. There's a lot of upward pressure because new construction is costing so much. Wood came down a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but still it is a lot more expensive to build a home these days than it was 3 years ago. So that's something to remember. And the D flips, I think, are going to be extremely profitable in the next couple of years. Keep the questions coming. But yes, I have no problem working Florida. Just understand that if you're going to work flips, send in D flips to me in Florida. First of all, if you've got the surplus program, work that right now. Just work that, period. If you're going to work the D flip, wait until January, February. Even at that point, I mean, we're only talking about 3 months out. Even at that point, just understand that some of those counties that were hit really, really hard are going to take a little longer to roll the property. So keep that in mind. You can hit the rest of Florida. Okay, Dennis, assuming a consistent 40-hour work week, what income range might a person working national surplus for themselves make 200,000 plus? That's the question for this guy. So Dennis, I don't know your work ethic or how fast or how efficient you are. I'm not trying to avoid your question. Yes, I do think that's doable. I think that's doable definitely with a 40-hour work week, especially working it on your own, because the way we teach it working on your own, you're using an attorney and you're using structured buyouts for that. And if you're doing that, you're going to do extremely well. 30 to 35% is very common as a net on that. And 45 grand has been the average overage. It jumped up from $25,000 to $45,000. So making $13,000 to $15,000 on a deal is not unheard of with the average surplus we're seeing now if you're doing it on your own. Alexander, I reached out to the beneficiary. There's our first red flag. They don't want to apply. Okay. The money is still with the court, over 100 grand. What can I do to collect this money? It's Wisconsin. All right, Alexander. The short answer is nothing. If people aren't willing to work with you, nothing. But two other things I want to bring up, Alexander, because you didn't bring it up. One, did you research the debt? Because if you didn't, you might have nothing anyway, especially you're saying beneficiary. So I'm assuming somebody died. If there's no will or no executor, then I'm not sure who you're working with. If you're going by, you looked up an obituary and they only had one daughter and here's her name. This is her name. That doesn't mean anything. The guy could have willed the property, or the woman could have willed the property to a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or another family member, and you don't know that. That's the first thing. Secondly, the estate may have $200,000 in debt, even though it's $100,000 plus overage. So there's nothing to go after. You have absolutely nothing. If the debt that was against the property prior to the foreclosure, if that is in excess or above the amount of the surplus funds, you got nothing to collect. So I'm hoping you check that, first of all. That's the number one first step. And guys, understand that we're in a recession. So people right now that are barely hanging on are hitting equity lines. They're pulling them out. They've been doing this the last couple of years to get cars, to get pools, to get whatever. And it's going to be even more important, if that was even possible, to check that. Okay. All right, what do I do to collect this money? The only thing you can do, Alexander, if you have our surplus funds program, there's a past buyer loyalty discount button on your resources page. And I believe that's the only place you can find the hybrid system by itself. The hybrid system, you just check the person's name, see if they went into bankruptcy within 2 years before or after that foreclosure. And we teach you how to approach the attorney that handled the bankruptcy. It had to have actually happened. The attorney that handled the bankruptcy and also the judge for that particular case. We teach you how to search that, see if they went into bankruptcy. It's pretty easy. And they'll pay a 25% commission just for telling them where the money is. That's our hybrid program. You can see more about that at surplusfundsriches.net. Click on products and scroll down to the bottom of the page. The Insider's Guide goes over that in detail. It's a great program. It's a great way to pick stuff up exactly like this, where the owner's not going to work with you where if there's too much debt. Lewis, what's the difference between national and premier programs? So Lewis, the National Surplus and the Premier 16 both teach you how to work surplus funds on your own. The difference is the option for partnership is you go get your own list. We teach you how to do that. It's easy. Take that list and research debt against the property. And then once you've done that, turn that in on a worksheet along with some supporting documents. Copy the deed. It proves that you checked this, right? Copy the deed and the transfer deed as well. We take that. We find the people, put the deal together, hire the mobile notary and the attorney, give them upfront buyout and more money when we get it out, all that. And we give you 8% of the gross amount being held when we get the money out of the court. It's a great deal. Premier 16, you got to get your own list. You research the debt. One more step, though, more money, more work. You've also got to find the people and have a warm conversation to make sure you got the right person and they're willing to speak with you. So that's the difference between those two systems. Of $497 a piece on the products page. Most people buy the Pro Pack at least, which has both of them in it. And the reason for that is then you've got an option depending on how well you're finding contacts. Well, if you can't find one, turn it in on the 8%, or if you have that program. If you can, great. Have the conversation, turn it into 16. It's kind of a way to game the system. That's a Pro Pack. The best deal with that, though, is either the gold or the diamond bundle. The gold is $1,000. However, it has national surplus, national deed flip. It has Premier 16, right? Surplus funds, and the deed flip 30, the 30% deed flipper, as well as North Carolina and the North Carolina flipping programs, and Florida flip and Florida surplus. So if you can afford it, the gold is a stupid good deal. Howdy, Sean. Hey, Carolyn. At what point next year would you suggest we start working deed flips, and which program would you suggest we get to start doing that if it will be our first time doing flips? So right now, Carolyn, we actually pulled the flip programs off. You might not have noticed that, selling them by themselves, National Deed Flip and Deed Flip 30, because we feel so strongly about surplus opportunity right now. However, you can get those in bundles. We probably will put the D-flip stuff back on as options beginning of the year. I would say, see, January, February is really slow anyway, particularly January. Courthouses typically don't have a whole lot of tax sales in January, or if they do, it's the end of the month. So January, February, March, January, if we've got a sale going January 1st, and there's some bundles with that, I would certainly jump on that and then start working within a month. Hope that answered your question. Mark, I bought your program. I didn't know there's a expiration. There is no expiration of, I don't know what you mean by that, Mark. Terry, which program do you recommend newbies or someone new to the field of surplus start with? Well, Terry, the short answer is the higher the bundle, the better deal you're getting, because you have other options to pursue. Because the cost per program is much lower the larger the bundle you get, right? So the Diamond's the best deal we got. However, it's $2,297 versus National Surplus is $497. If you can stretch it, I would get the Gold. It's $997, and that has probably the top converting programs we've got. You also have an option once you buy one of our programs to check on your resources page that's linked from your ebook. We have past buyer loyalty discounts. There's a button on your resources page. Now, we never discount National Surplus, National D-flip, D-flip 30, or Premier 16. We just don't. There's certain programs we just will not discount. So it doesn't make any sense for you to come back later. But it's a way for people to go, wow, I've had success with this, so I want to get this too. Jay, what is the best way to research the debt for free? Hey, Jay, if you bought a program, because it's really easy, you go to the Recorder of Deeds or the Register of Deeds or the Recorder's office online for the county. Don't use third-party deals. Don't have somebody do check debt, or don't count on some kind of a debt check, some online third-party system. Go to the Register of Deeds or the county Recorder's office online, and you can research debt that way. We teach you how to do all that with the book. It's not hard. Rosalana, for the surplus funds, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Do we still need to verify the excess funds if the list I found on the county website dated in the year 2022? Rosalana, we do have a certain time period where if it's X months old, it's okay. That's right on the resources page. Also check the support page for frequently asked questions. Check that. It's on there. Trust me. Alexander, I found several estates, all over 100 grand. I have paid to verify the money is still at the courts. I found an estate attorney agreed to partner. Can we partner to get the money? Alexander, let me tell you what's scaring me. You didn't address what I said. Have you checked that? Was there debt against the person that died? If there was, that debt can eat all of that money. So you got to check that. If you'd like to, no problem though. If you'd like to partner with us, you can get the National Surplus Funds and go ahead and just research the debt. Get your list. Show us a copy of the list so we can prove that you had a list, right? I'm not looking for estate money. We're talking about surplus funds that are due an estate. I'm hoping we're very clear on that. Research the debt on that, fill out our worksheet with it, and turn it in after you buy the program, and we'll give you 8% of the gross. If you are also willing to call, I don't know that we allow that unless it's an executor. I think it has to be an executor of the estate. Premier 16, if that's the case, Premier 16, you get 16% for that. But that's how we do it, guys. I'm not doing hybrid crap. I'm not. Oh, here we go. We do not work estate deals. There you go. Jeff's just making it very clear for you. We're not working those anymore. Let me tell you why we did that, guys. It's a rabbit hole. You've got several, keep in mind what just happened to you, Alexander. You got all this stuff sitting here and nothing's happening. That's why we don't work them. Although there is a lot of competition, since you use a structured buyout, do 80% of the time in the deal. I have not kept percentages on as far as us versus other competitors. I know that when I talk to people using other systems and that have used ours, especially when they're working on their own, they are blown away by the difference. That's probably the best answer I got for you. I'm sorry, Dennis. It's Wisconsin. Doesn't mean anything, Alexander, to me. Can I research the debt for free if not posted publicly? Hey, Jay, it's posted. There's only a couple areas where you have to pay. One is California, because it's California. They charge you for breathing air out there. So they're going to charge you every time you have to look up a document on the Register of Deeds or Recorder's office. And I need to make this clear. That's how you research debt. Don't research it any other way. It's free. It's free. It's online for free. Except California charges you to look at the deeds sometimes just to even browse through them. Can be a per deed look. It's pretty staggering in some of the counties. And the other place I know that charges you to access the Register of Deeds or Recorder's Office is going to be Georgia, but it's so cheap for the entire state. It costs you $25, and you can access every county in that state. And it's really easy to get it's really easy to get tax overage lists in Georgia, so it's worth it. And plus, that's a that's a little bit of a boundary, right? It's a little bit of an obstacle. Whenever you see an obstacle or a barrier to doing work, people are like, "Oh my God, I don't want to spend $25." Well, somebody else will, and they'll get that. And because 9 people were afraid to spend $25 a month to be able to search every county in Georgia, search the debt, they're gonna make out like bandits versus the people that don't want to put the latte down once a week. Okay. Hello, sir, says Paul. Hello, Paul. B, I bought one of your deed flip programs in December 2020. Is it still usable and applicable? Absolutely, B. Look, I'm not saying give it up. I'm saying if you have both the surplus and a deed flip program right now, work the deed flip. I mean, work the surplus right now. Absolutely. We're not getting rid of any of our programs. A lot of people say this, did it expire? The only thing I will give everybody a heads up right now that I think people need to understand, and that is a lot of people buy a program and then life comes up. And I get that, right? Life comes up. You got to go help out your brother. You got to go do this. Maybe you got a promotion at work. You're going to stick with that for a while. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do this. And then they'll come back 2 years later and go, hey, can I still work the program? Does your link work? Yeah. Guys, we don't typically dead out programs. So absolutely. And all the updates are on the resources page. So it won't expire, so to speak. B says, thank you, Paul. I don't want to blank. That's okay. Someone else will. Very great perspective. Exactly, Paul. Whenever you see a barrier, like I said, with the Georgia, where you got to pay $25 a month to access the Registry of Deeds or the Recorder's Office, whenever you see that, that's a really big deal. Because other people are, like I say, they're especially people that have been, and listen, I understand not everybody here has had their own businesses. Not everybody here has been on commission or whatever. So that's a big deal. Jay says, thank you for the information. I've been paying the clerk of court for those documents. Huh. Jay, you really need to check. You're scaring me because you talk about researching debt and you say you're paying the clerk. I think what you were paying the court for was a copy of the foreclosure file. And that 9 times out of 10 does not have that. So listen to me again. Register of Deeds or Recorder's Office. I turned my cost into $8,000. Thank you for your program. You're very welcome, Jay. Awesome. He spent money with the clerk and he took the risk on that. That wasn't a Register of Deeds or Recorder's Office situation, but he made $8,000 on a single deal. Awesome. Guys, keep in mind something. Whenever we put a deal together with someone, with one of our researchers, and we send a check, we give them an offer. We say, look, if you would take the time to share what happened here, your success story, the program you got, your first name, don't need the last name, just it could be an iPhone video. If you will take the time to do a 30-second video, hey, here's what I bought. It was John Bougie, surplusfundsriches.net. If you'll take the time to do that, we will give you the program of your choice. Now, keep in mind, there's some people on here. We had this happen when we first offered this. People said, oh, that's great. Hey, Sean, here's how I succeeded. And I was like, when did you buy? You didn't buy. You saw this announcement and you never bought. You're trying to get a free program. We will check. Also, we do, if it's not somebody that, if they're doing it on their own and they're not doing it as a researcher for us, so we have really no way to tell that they actually were successful. I'm not putting up a fake testimonial, so we will check. I need to see documentation of that. I know that sounds crazy, but we guys, believe it or not, we are way straight and narrow on this stuff. That's why we hate it when people try to impugn our integrity, because we are crazy straight and narrow on this stuff. Paul, my biggest struggle now is letting go of doing all the remodeling of my home myself because I don't quite have enough money to pay great people and don't really want to pay cheap people. I get you, Paul. I would say prioritize as much as you can. Um, it's really expensive to get good people, and they're going to be delayed. This is one of the major reasons we do not fix and flip. We haven't for years. We just buy it as is, where is, sell it as is, where is to invest in a matter of weeks in as is condition. And that's really been paying off for us. Mel, what can I do to increase my odds of actually getting paid on National Surplus Funds Program? A couple things, Mel. There's a couple things that have come up in the past and we think we're very proud of. Um, One thing a lot of the researchers have started to do, and you don't have to, because when we skip trace, we're going to check this. But one of the things they've started to do is they'll check obituaries before they even check debt against the property. They'll plug in the name and the city and see if they've got a match. Especially if it's the same city, it's a pretty good chance that it's an odd name, right? John Barrymore, and it was the last few years. There's a good chance of that. So some of them are doing that. The other one is they're being very, very, very careful when they research that debt, because we've had a couple of files. I'm not saying yours, but we've had a couple of files we've had to let go because they screwed up checking the debt. Angela, is there a way to work a surplus file that is a business? In other words, the business owned the property, guys, before the foreclosure. Great question, Angela. Yes. Surplus file that is a business that is no longer in business. Okay, so Angela, Secretary of State's departments will have a list of the companies. So if you see it there that they went out of business, there is a way you can actually purchase that company from the owner that it's no longer active, right? It's no longer active. You can buy the company from. Now, look, if it's John C. Smith and Sons, he's not going to want to sell that company, right? You can still work with him and say, hey, reactivate. I'm going to give you this, much money. I want to get the money out. Here's how much I'll give you up front. It's this much money. Reactivate your business and we can go after the money. Okay. The other way is to just buy the business from them. We teach you how to do that with Zombie Business Reviver, which also, by the way, works in deed flips. We teach you how to, if the property is going up for tax sale, it's going into foreclosure. And the company has gone out of business, teach you how to buy that company, and therefore, right, buy the company itself, reactivate it, and get it if you've got enough time to do so. Will you host another great discount for the holidays when I can purchase more of your programs for a great price, Jay? Hey, listen, here's the deal. Okay. A lot of you guys haven't been with us a long time. December, we don't have any sales. We pull everything off December 1st to the 31st. You can't buy one of our programs because we don't want to start new people. Okay. So if you're thinking about buying, make darn sure you do before December 1st so you can get kind of a leg up. But from December 1st to the 31st, we don't sell anything. Okay. So January 1st is usually our sale date. That's if we have a new program, we'll launch it at that point. However, just so you guys know, the prices you're seeing on those bundles and the programs, it's not getting any better than that. Sometimes we offer odd or different type of bundles, maybe a deal on add-on, something like that. We're not doing that anytime soon. And you're never going to get National Surplus or National Deed Flip or Deed Flip 30 Premier 16 any cheaper than what we've got it on there unless it's in a bundle. But I'm so glad you asked me that question because a lot of people are sitting on the fence waiting for the sale, or they'll click the site and sign in to buy, and then they'll click off thinking that they're going to get some auto email from me going, hey, don't go just now. We don't do any of that stuff because we're very upfront on what we do. We don't upsell. I know there's a guy out there right now that is actually calling people and saying, by the way, for 20 grand, we're going to lead you by the hand and walk you through it, and we can get an equity line on your house so you can afford it. We don't do any of that stuff, guys. We don't do any of that. Plus, these guys that aren't telling you to research debt, please, please, please don't listen to them. You've got to research debt. They don't care because they're not partnering with you, right? Hey, if the guy gets lucky and there wasn't debt against the property, good for them. Then I'll get a great testimonial. If something happens, well, no sweat off my brow, right? We care. We got to know that we're going to be able to work the deal. Or we know it's a waste of time. And I've got a full-time crew that's just pounding people left and right for our researchers, for our partners. So that's a difference, and it's a really big deal, really big difference. Angela says, perfect. Thank you. You're very, very welcome. Angela, by the way, she was talking about the Zombie Business Reviver, reviving that business. Angela, if you bought some for us, click on the resources page attached to your ebook. There should be a past buyer loyalty discount on there. That's where you can sometimes find some of the programs we mentioned that aren't available for sale by themselves. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's not $100 add-on. It's like $350 or $397, something like that. But just so you know, that's where you can find stuff like that. Looks like we're about at the end. I very much appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and hope to see you soon. This will be, guys, the replay will be on YouTube if you haven't already. surplusfundsriches.net. Same thing. Surplus Funds Riches is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. Make sure you subscribe to that, because I'm posting more information practically daily on there, and it's all real stuff. Okay. Thanks for coming. Everybody have a great night.